Emory University in Atlanta is saying we are sorry to dozens of former students. They were all enrolled in Emory's now closed dental school decades ago. Many of them either flunked out or they were forced to repeat a year or more even because of what the university said was their work. Well, it turns out all the students were singled out because they were Jewish.
So without further ado, let me invite Professor Eric Goldstein to come forward and say some words about this project.
Thank you very much, Gary. I'm Eric Goldstein. I'm the director of the Tam Institute for Jewish Studies here at Emory University, and it's really an honor to see so many of you here and to welcome you all to Emory for this historic event. This evening's program has been many years in the making, and as you will hear, it is the culmination of the hard work, insights, and tireless research of Dr. Perry Brickman. My own encounter with the story of anti-Semitism in the Emory Dental School started when I was an undergraduate at Emory more than 20 years ago, and I was conducting research for a paper that I wrote under the supervision of Dr. David Blumenthal on the history of Jewish life at Emory. I learned the bare outline of the events of 1948 to 1961 from the few available secondary sources and some scattered papers that had survived in the Emory archives, although most of the records of the dental school and other papers that would have shed light on this incident did not survive. The Anti-Defamation League, which had done crucial research exposing the pattern of discrimination against Jewish dental students at Emory, published its findings in a book entitled Some of My Best Friends in 1961, and so that was available, and I read that. But then when I picked up this history of Emory University by Thomas English, I saw the way in which the university had avoided officially acknowledging the discrimination. I just want to read you the paragraph that's in this book, which was published in 1966, not long after these events, but you see the way in which it was framed. It says on page 175, some unpleasantness developed in 1961 when it was charged that a disproportionately large number of Jewish students in the dental school had been failed in their work. President Martin made a personal investigation, after which he stated his belief that there had been, quote, no willful or intentional discrimination. Dean Buhler's resignation coming at this time, it was rumored that his leaving was the direct result of the unfavorable publicity that the school had received. This charge also Dr. Martin dismissed as, quote, pure coincidence. And that's the full treatment of the event in the history. The data collected by the ADL in the 1960s had been statistical in nature, but it had specifically avoided mentioning names, and this was done purposefully to protect the students, many of whom were still pursuing their dental education. What Perry did is add the human dimension to the story, uncovering the emotional toll that the school's anti-Semitic policies took on the students who were unfairly flunked out or forced to repeat years of their dental education. These men, many of whom are with us here tonight, were no longer nameless statistics, but real people who suffered real pain and adversity. As Perry's portrait of those years became clearer and clearer, and he eventually created a video presentation about the subject, our conversation shifted to how we might get Emory to acknowledge the discrimination that had never been officially recognized. We all owe Perry a great debt of gratitude. I'd like Perry to stand up and be recognized.
The president of Emory University, James Wagner.
On behalf of Emory University, serving it as its president, I hereby express in the deepest and strongest terms Emory's regret for the anti-Semitic practices of the dental school during those years. We at Emory also regret that it has taken this long for those events to be properly acknowledged. I am sorry we are sorry. Stanley Perry Brickman, distinguished oral surgeon, community leader, and maker of Emory history. By your example of intellectual engagement and ethical integrity, you have extended the reach of the ennobling power of an excellent mind and a generous heart. By your association with Emory University, you have made its heritage shine more brightly and have made its name more worthy of renown. Thank you and congratulations.
We all owe a great debt of gratitude to Emory University. It's unparalleled what they've done. No other university has ever done anything like this. As I said over there, I'm just happy that we all have been fortunate enough to have lived long enough to see this happen. Thank you very, very much.
My name is Bob Marmar. I have a question. In those times, and perhaps even today, the dean of a program had the ability and the final say on who was accepted. What was the purpose of the sham of accepting Jewish students when the ultimate goal was elimination from the program?
So that's a very good question, and that's one of the first questions that comes up, because usually when you hear about the history of anti-Semitism in higher education, it is more to do with quotas than with the story like it is at Emory with flunking out. Apparently Emory had a system a little bit different than what you described, which is that the admissions process to the dental school was under the jurisdiction of a university-wide committee. So the dean actually did not have at least total control over who was admitted.
There was a quota in the dental school. There was a quota in the medical school. There were 4 medical students taken every year. There were never more than 4, I think, Jewish dental students taken. So the discrimination was nationwide in dental schools and medical schools. It was not a fair admission program, but the medical school treated people fairly after they got in. What is unique about this system, I don't know of any other school in the nation that had this history of discriminating after they got into the school.
My name is Jack Byrne. I was one of 2 Jewish boys out of a class of 80 that was part of the year entering 1957. I was most disturbed hearing that the university had a part in the acceptance rather than just the college.
My name is Dick Arnold, and I am from the classes of 1957 and 1958. And I want you to know that I am up here tonight with 2 of my very, very high-achieving children and my very high-achieving wife. And my being up here and speaking with this group undoubtedly shocks them. And I also want you to know that I did not tell my kids about these events until very recently. And why didn't I tell them? It isn't the kind of thing that you could really explain. To go ahead and tell somebody that, that you had to do a year again because you were Jewish, my kids are really bright. And they did not grow up in that kind of an environment, and it would be hard for them to imagine that that really happened. When Perry started sending these little discs around that showed some of the comments that were made, at that point, and the fact that Emory is putting this on tonight, validates any explanation that I or anybody else might make about what happened. As far as being ashamed is concerned, that never occurred to me. I had the credentials when I got into Emory to show what I was able to do. And for them to say that I didn't have it in my hands, that was the most ridiculous thing that I ever heard. There was a picture of me up there, and my hands had no trouble doing anything. And they still don't. Thank you.
I want to personally thank the university on behalf of my family, because my father, Jay Paulin, did graduate, but has carried this pain for 55 years. And though I was in college here at Emory, being a local girl, I did not decline my entrance acceptance to the dental school at Emory and went elsewhere. And I feel like many of my generation, who are the children, did carry this with us.
Thank you very much for your presence, for your interest, and especially, once again, thank you to all of those who have contributed to this evening.